Welcome to Lesson 2, Navigating Your Vocabulary. In this lesson you will learn how to access the main browser and term record, how to use the advanced search, how to edit your personal preferences, and how to show different displays and reports. You can navigate a thesaurus or taxonomy by scrolling down through the list. But when it gets quite big, you might also want to just look up a term. This is what you can do in this default search box. Just type the first word of the term and it jumps to it, whether it's a non-preferred term or a preferred term. There's also an advanced search box which gives you a lot more features for searching by. But let's go on to customizing. One of the things you can do is customize the size of the display columns. Now this relationships column needs to be a little wider. I put my cursor over the bar next to it and pull it out, and now we can see everything. Others could be made smaller. As you see, for United States of America, it has a broader term, 50 narrower terms, and 2 used for or non-preferred terms. Other ways that we can customize the display are done under the menu Define, Preferences. There are other things we can, other preferences here, but for display we go to Display Settings. We want to not have as many columns show because they're not necessary. We'll deselect Status, Flag, and include Relationship Count. Save. And before it goes into effect, we need to refresh the list. This takes a minute to get all the relationships to populate again. There. Now you see we don't have as many columns. And at the United States of America, we don't have the term counts anymore. While on the subject of navigating, when you select a term, you can navigate to the web. If you look here, web search, search in Google. I have my browser here, and it brings me to the term. I didn't have to type it in. Okay. All right, we've been looking at the terms in the main browser, but we can also look at different displays of individual terms. So if we look at North America, remember this is the term record. We've seen the term details. There are other tabs here, multi-level hierarchy. So instead of just showing the narrower term, it shows the further narrower terms, narrower term level 2. And if there were more, just cities, it would go on to narrow term level 3. Two-way hierarchy, it doesn't make too much of a difference here because we only go in one direction, but it's indicated differently. 1 dot for 1 level, 2 dots for 2 levels. But let's look at another term, United States of America, at its multi-level hierarchy, narrower term 1s, and down at the bottom, a broader term 1. Its two-way hierarchy goes in both directions. So a colon here for the broader terms and dots before narrower terms. Again, it could go further narrower and further broader as well. And the multi-level hierarchy for states and two-way hierarchy, we see double colons when it gets broader. Now that's the displays for individual terms hierarchy. If you want to see a hierarchy of the entire thesaurus, or especially a taxonomy where it's important to see the hierarchy, we see those under reports. So let's go through the different reports. The default for a thesaurus is the alphabetical report, which is lists all the terms in alphabetical order, both preferred terms and non-preferred terms, along with their relationships and notes. We can do some customization of what we want to include, but by default it includes the standard relationships. And there's some other options. But let's just take the defaults and output to screen. That's the easiest. And here it is. This is a alphabetical report, all the terms in alphabetical order and their relationships. As you see, Europe doesn't have any, and United States is a non-preferred term. It doesn't show up italics, of course, in this notepad file. And the United States of America has all these relationships. Okay, that's the alphabetical report. Now let's look at the top term report. This lists in alphabetical order all the terms in the thesaurus which are top terms. They have no broader terms, and they do have narrower terms. They are not orphan terms. And again, we could do some options here, but we will just take the default, print to screen. So alphabetical, we have one top term, North America. That's it. The other terms that did not have broader terms, such as Europe and South America, did not have any narrower terms either. They have no relationships, so they are sometimes called orphan terms, and they need to have relationships added. So top term are terms with narrower terms. All right, moving on down, the hierarchical report lists in alphabetical order all terms in the thesaurus, not just the top terms, and their full hierarchy. So the two-way hierarchy, if applicable. So it's a little bit more detail here. We'll see. That's why you see the broader term 1 and broader term 2. That's how it differs from the alphabetical report. But it's just hierarchy. We don't see the used for. So we get some added information and not as much information. You saw there was some customization to do in the reports. Well, I didn't go on down. So the rotated index is interesting. It's sort of archaic. It will be an index of words in the terms. Stop words are little words you don't want, like you don't want of. So you can see, yeah, in the case America comes up in North America, South America, United States, Carolina comes up in more than one word. New. I mean, this is, as you can see, it's not really practical for geographic names, but this is what a rotated index is. Kind of fun. All right, so the report generator allows you to do more sophisticated customization of your reports, selecting what's included and what's displayed, but also you can select terms that only have certain relationships to be included. So you only want those with broader terms, and you don't want any with narrower terms, and so forth. So it can be quite sophisticated. All right, so we've been generating reports to the screen. One way that you can generate a report or a file that's better to share with other people is to generate HTML output. So it's a web page that you can share, especially with subject matter experts, to get their opinion on it, and it's interactive. So let's do that, and we'll use the report generator. And on display items, what we want included, we don't want the status and record number and all that. But we do want the standard thesaurus relationships. Okay, so then we go to output HTML. We've got more formats to output from the report generator too than from some of those other reports. And then print export. The default file name is repgen.htm, which stands for report generator, and then of course you can give it some other name, and by default it will go into your MultiTes HTML folder. So there was nothing in there before. Do you want to display it? Let's see here. Okay. Our thesaurus, which is again in my MultiTes Pro folder. This is an alphabetical thesaurus, not taxonomy hierarchical style, but you can click on a letter of the alphabet and get what's in that there. And when you get a term, you get a term record. You can jump to another term. This is a good one, of course, United States of America, and all its narrower terms, North America. So it's a fully interactive thesaurus. Okay. Finally, we want to generate another output, which is XML, which is useful if you want to import your thesaurus into some other system, a content management system or so. So we follow the same steps as we did for generating HTML. We want to select what to display, these relationships, and we generate to XML. Print X. And it puts it in the XML folder. I had done it once before. Do you want to display it now? And Microsoft Edge is sort of my default displayer for XML. Maybe you have something else to read it. So this is the way, you know, it has these markup tags. So descriptor and broader term, and each is considered a concept in the thesaurus. I mean, it would get more interesting if we had scope notes and other things, but that's what the XML looks like. So that brings us to the end of lesson 2.